Imagine an organism that simply refuses to age. While every other living thing on this planet follows a strict timeline of birth, growth, decline, and eventual conclusion, this creature has found a way to hit the reset button whenever life gets too difficult. It doesn't just survive harsh conditions, it reverses its own biological clock, turning from an adult back into a juvenile over and over again, potentially forever. For decades, we thought biological immortality was a myth, a quirk of science fiction, or a misunderstanding of cellular biology. But deep in the crushing pressures and freezing darkness of our oceans, scientists have just confirmed the existence of a deep-sea marvel that appears to have conquered the end of life itself. This isn't just about a long-lived animal like a Greenland shark or a giant tortoise. This is about a fundamental rewrite of the laws of nature. Today, we are diving into the staggering discovery of the truly immortal jellyfish and the even more mysterious deep-sea relatives that are forcing us to rethink everything we know about medicine, genetics, and the very concept of time. To understand how significant this is, we first have to look at why things age in the first place. For almost every animal on Earth, aging is a one-way street. At the cellular level, our bodies are constantly copying themselves. But every time a cell divides, the telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of our DNA, get a little bit shorter. Eventually, they get so short that the cell can no longer divide properly, leading to decline and the end of the organism's journey. This is known as the Hayflick limit, and for a long time, it was considered an unbreakable wall. But then came Turritopsis dohrnii. This tiny jellyfish, often no larger than a pinky nail, has figured out a loophole that sounds like pure magic. When it is injured, starving, or simply gets too old, it doesn't just fade away. Instead, it undergoes a process called transdifferentiation. It absorbs its own tentacles, shrinks its body, and settles onto the ocean floor, transforming back into a polyp, the earliest stage of its life cycle. It is the equivalent of a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar, or a frog turning back into a tadpole. But here is the real kicker that has scientists buzzing this year. While we've known about the immortal jellyfish in shallow waters for a while, a new expedition into the deep-sea trenches has discovered a related species that performs this trick under extreme pressure and near-freezing temperatures. And it does it with an efficiency we've never seen before. These deep-sea variants seem to possess a genetic toolkit that is even more robust than their shallow-water cousins. Researchers using advanced ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, captured specimens from the midnight zone, miles beneath the surface. And what they found in the lab was nothing short of revolutionary. These creatures aren't just resetting their clocks, they are maintaining their genetic integrity through the process. Most organisms that try to regenerate tissue end up with mutations or cellular errors, but these deep-sea immortals seem to have a perfect repair mechanism that keeps their DNA pristine through countless cycles of rejuvenation. The implications for human medicine are massive. If we can understand the signaling molecules that trigger transdifferentiation, we might unlock the secret to true regenerative medicine. Imagine being able to take a damaged heart cell or a failing liver cell and reprogram it back into a healthy, youthful state without the need for stem cell transplants. We aren't talking about living forever in the way a vampire does in a movie. We're talking about eliminating the diseases of decline that affect millions of people. Scientists are currently mapping the genome of these deep-sea creatures, looking for the specific genes that allow them to bypass the aging process. What they've found so far are highly active clusters of genes related to DNA repair and telomere maintenance that are unlike anything found in the human genome. It's as if these jellyfish have a built-in undo button for every bit of damage they encounter. But how does a creature like this survive in the wild? You might think that if they were truly immortal, the ocean would be overflowing with them. The reality of the deep sea is much more complicated. While they are biologically immortal, meaning they won't fade away from old age, they are still part of the food chain. They can be consumed by predators, or they can succumb to environmental shifts that are too rapid for their reset mechanism to handle. However, their ability to revert to a polyp state gives them a massive advantage during times of scarcity. When there is no food, most animals decline. The immortal jellyfish simply shrinks down, enters a dormant state, and waits for better days. Some colonies of these polyps found on the seafloor are estimated to be thousands of years old, essentially clones of a single individual that has survived through centuries of oceanic changes. The recent deep-sea discovery added another layer of mystery. The deep-sea species, living in total darkness, has evolved a way to keep its rejuvenation genes active at all times. In shallow water species, The transformation is often a reaction to stress. In the deep-sea variant, the cells seem to be in a constant state of flux, ready to repair or replace themselves the moment a problem arises. It's a proactive rather than reactive system of immortality. This has led some biologists to propose a new theory of continuous life, where the boundary between individual generations is completely blurred. Are you the same person if every single cell in your body has been replaced 10 times over? For the jellyfish, the answer seems to be yes. The technology used to find these creatures is almost as impressive as the animals themselves. Exploring the deep ocean is essentially like exploring another planet. The pressure at these depths is enough to crush a luxury car into the size of a soda can. To capture a delicate, gelatinous creature like a jellyfish without damaging its fragile tissues requires soft robotics. Mechanical hands made of silicone and water that can gently cradle an organism without exerting any destructive force. Once these specimens were brought to the surface in pressurized containers, the real work began. Genomic sequencing has revealed that these jellyfish have multiple copies of genes that protect against oxidative stress. In humans, oxidative stress is one of the main drivers of aging, causing damage to our proteins and fats over time. The jellyfish have essentially built an internal fortress against this process. There is also a fascinating connection to the world of cancer research. Cancer is in many ways the opposite of the jellyfish's trick. It is a cell that refuses to stop dividing and ignores the signals to decline, but it does so in a chaotic, destructive way. The immortal jellyfish has figured out how to have infinite cell division and regeneration without the chaos. It is a highly regulated, perfectly orchestrated return to youth. By studying how the jellyfish keeps its cells under control during such a radical transformation, researchers hope to find new ways to switch off the uncontrolled growth of cancer cells in humans. It turns out that the secret to the end of life might also be the secret to stopping one of our most persistent illnesses. But let's get back to the sheer weirdness of this organism. Imagine the experience of being one of these creatures. You grow into a beautiful, bell-shaped adult with long, stinging tentacles. Drifting through the deep currents, you encounter a predator that bites off half of your body. Instead of fading, you drop to the floor. Your cells begin to change their identity. Your muscle cells become skin cells. Your nerve cells become structural cells. You turn into a small, plant-like stalk called a polyp. From that stalk, new jellyfish begin to bud off, like fruit growing on a tree. These new jellyfish are genetically identical to you. You have essentially cloned yourself back into existence. It is a cycle of renewal that could theoretically have been happening since the time of the dinosaurs. Some scientists speculate that there are individual genetic lines of these jellyfish that have witnessed the rise and fall of countless species, silently drifting in the deep as the world above changed forever. This discovery also challenges our definition of an individual. When the jellyfish returns to the polyp stage, it can produce multiple new medusae, the bell-shaped adult forms. So, is the immortal part the single jellyfish, or is it the genetic line that continues through the polyp? In biology, we often look at the individual as the unit of life, but these creatures suggest that life might be better understood as a continuous stream of information. The body is just a temporary vessel that can be reshaped as needed. This perspective is shifting how we look at aging in other species too. We are starting to find pockets of extreme longevity all over the tree of life, from certain types of pine trees that live for 5,000 years, to deep-sea sponges that might be over 10,000 years old. Nature, it seems, isn't as committed to the concept of an end as we once thought. If you are listening to this and wondering when you can get your jellyfish shot to stay young forever, the answer is, not yet. Humans are infinitely more complex than jellyfish. We have specialized tissues, complex brains with memories, and a skeletal structure that doesn't lend itself well to shrinking down into a polyp. However, the target isn't necessarily making humans immortal. It's about extending the health span. If we can borrow even a tiny fraction of the jellyfish's DNA repair efficiency, we could potentially make the human body much more resistant to the wear and tear of time. We could stay at our peak physical and mental health for decades longer than we do now. The immortal jellyfish is a proof of concept. It proves that the biological wall of aging is not a fundamental law of physics. It's just a biological hurdle that can, in theory, be cleared. The deep-sea environment is the perfect laboratory for these kinds of evolutionary experiments. Because the deep ocean is so stable, no seasons, very little change in temperature, and a constant slow pace of life, organisms there can develop specialized strategies that wouldn't work in the chaotic environment of a coral reef or a forest. In the deep, being slow and being immortal is a viable way to win the game of survival. You don't need to rush to reproduce if you know you have 1,000 years to find a mate. This slow life strategy has produced some of the most fascinating lifespans on the planet. We are just now beginning to realize that the deep sea might hold the library of life's most successful long-term survivors. Wait, there's more. The recent expedition also found that these deep-sea immortals have a unique symbiotic relationship with certain bacteria that live inside their cells. These bacteria seem to assist in the reset process, perhaps by cleaning up cellular waste or providing extra energy during the radical transformation. This adds a whole new layer of complexity. Is the immortality a solo act, or is it a partnership? This mirrors a lot of what we are learning about the human microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that live in and on us. We are realizing that our health and our aging process are deeply intertwined with the microscopic life we carry with us. The jellyfish might be using its bacteria as a specialized maintenance crew to keep its biological machine running forever. When you look at the footage of these creatures, ghostly, translucent bells pulsing in the dark, it is humbling. They don't have brains, they don't have hearts, and they don't have a plan. They are just a collection of cells that have mastered the art of persistence. While we humans spend our lives building monuments, writing books, and trying to leave a legacy, the jellyfish just stays. It is a different kind of success. It is the success of endurance. And as we map their genes and decode their secrets, we are forced to ask ourselves what we would do if we had that same gift. If the end was no longer a certainty, how would we change the way we live? The study of Turritopsis dohrnii and its deep-sea relatives is still in its early stages. Every time we think we have the process figured out, these animals reveal another trick. For example, recent lab tests showed that the jellyfish can trigger its rejuvenation even in response to a change in water salinity or a drop in oxygen. It is a universal survival mechanism. It's as if the organism has a fail-safe mode that it can enter whenever the environment becomes unfavorable. In the context of a changing global climate, these creatures might be the ultimate survivors, capable of resetting themselves to weather any storm the planet throws at them. The economic and ethical questions this discovery raises are just as big as the scientific ones. If we ever do develop therapies based on these findings, who gets them? Would the gift of extended life be available only to the few? And what would it mean for our planet's resources if humans lived twice as long? These are the conversations that scientists are already having behind the scenes. The immortal jellyfish is no longer just a curiosity for marine biologists. It is a catalyst for a massive debate about the future of our species. It has moved from the pages of nature journals to the front lines of bioethics. But for now, the jellyfish continues its quiet existence in the dark. It is indifferent to our interest, unaware that it holds the holy grail of human myth. It just drifts, pulses, and, when the time is right, refreshes. The ocean floor is likely littered with these tiny, immortal stalks, waiting for the right moment to bloom back into an adult form. It is a hidden, silent empire of clones that has likely existed for millions of years. As we wrap up our look into this incredible discovery, it's worth thinking about the scale of the unknown. We have explored less than 5% of our oceans. We have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of the seafloor. If a creature as revolutionary as the immortal jellyfish is hiding in the deep, what else is out there? What other laws of nature are being broken in the trenches? Every year, our ROVs go a little deeper, stay down a little longer, and bring back more data. Every year, the mysteries of the deep get a little more tangible. The immortal jellyfish reminds us that life is much more flexible than we give it credit for. We tend to view our biological limits as fixed, but nature is constantly finding ways to push past them. Whether it's through the crushing depths or the passage of eons, life finds a way to endure. The biological reset is a strategy that has worked for the jellyfish for millions of years, and now it is a strategy that we are finally beginning to understand. It is a journey from the bottom of the ocean to the cutting edge of human technology, and the story is just beginning. Think about the cells in your own body right now. They are part of a lineage that goes back to the very first spark of life on this planet. In a way, life is already a continuous, immortal process, passed from one generation to the next. The jellyfish has just figured out how to keep that process within a single body. It has eliminated the middleman of reproduction to maintain its own existence. It is a masterclass in efficiency, a marvel of genetics, and a beautiful glowing enigma in the dark. As scientists continue to probe the secrets of the deep-sea immortal, the excitement is palpable. We are living in a golden age of discovery, where the tools of the 21st century are finally catching up with the mysteries of the deep. The immortal jellyfish is our guide into a new frontier of biology, one where the end of the story is just a new beginning. It is a creature that defies every law of urban planning, every law of physics, and every law of aging. It is, quite simply, the most resilient thing we have ever found. And so, the search goes on. In labs around the world, the translucent bells of the Turritopsis pulse in their tanks, their DNA being scanned and analyzed by the brightest minds in science. In the deep trenches of the Pacific and the Atlantic, the ROVs continue their descent, looking for the next breakthrough. The ocean still has many secrets, but the secret of immortality is no longer one of them. We have seen it. We have captured it. And now, we are learning from it. The journey of the immortal jellyfish is a reminder to stay curious. It reminds us that no matter how much we think we know about the world, there is always something deeper, something older, and something more extraordinary waiting to be found. The tiny, glowing bell in the dark is more than just an animal. It is a question mark at the end of every sentence we thought we had finished about life. And as we move forward, we should be prepared for the answer to change everything. This isn't just a story about a jellyfish. It's a story about the future of medicine, the ethics of longevity, and the incredible persistent power of life to adapt and survive. The deep-sea creature that refuses to age is a herald of a new era, one where we might finally understand the mechanisms that hold us back and, perhaps, find a way to clear them. The road ahead is long, and the challenges are many, but the destination, a world where the decline of old age is a thing of the past, is now a little closer than it was yesterday. Keep your eyes on the deep. The darkness down there isn't empty. It is full of life, full of history, and full of the secrets of our future. The immortal jellyfish is just the beginning. As we continue to explore the final frontier of our own planet, we will undoubtedly find more creatures that challenge our understanding and inspire our imagination. For now, we content ourselves with the knowledge that in the cold, dark depths, life is happening in a way that is truly, biologically infinite. By mapping the perfection of the jellyfish's repair systems, we are essentially looking at a master blueprint for maintenance. If we can apply even a fraction of this logic to our own biology, the impact on human civilization would be more profound than the Industrial Revolution or the digital age. It would be the age of biological sovereignty. And it all started with a tiny, translucent drifter that refused to follow the rules. It's a humbling and thrilling thought to realize that our greatest future breakthroughs might be swimming in the dark, miles below our feet, just waiting for us to find them. The immortal jellyfish is more than a discovery. It's a promise that the mysteries of life are far from solved and that the best is yet to come. Stay curious, stay inspired, and never stop looking into the depths. The world is a much stranger and more beautiful place than we often imagine, and the tiny jellyfish pulsing in the deep is the living proof of that. Life, in all its forms, is a miracle of persistence, and we are just beginning to learn how deep that miracle really goes.